in the light of CNN, or I guess in the wake of CNN putting on half a dozen Republican women who are literally Republican operatives for their focus group, without mentioning the Republican operative part. Like, we just took 6 women who vote for Trump just to get a feel for what's going on with them. I mean, it assessed basically what Republican operatives who are women think about Trump. But they decided to put on some independent voters on the midterm election motivations. Unclear how these people were dispersed, but interesting. Let's just listen to a couple of what their takes are.
You all are the all-important independent voters that so many people are watching for the midterms. Anthony, how are you feeling?
Afraid.
Of what?
The dictator in the White House.
And what?
He has no empathy for anything. He will never admit when he makes a mistake.
What were you imagining when you voted for President Trump?
And he said the system
That's it. We don't even have to show any more of this video. It's literally one person after another saying he's rude, he doesn't seem to know what he's talking about, he lies. And that's the question that should be asked of every person. And like, it's unclear. Nobody answered it.
I would make it a two-parter. What is it you were imagining, and who was it that made you imagine that?
Right.
They were all literally hearing Trump deliver Obama speeches the whole campaign.
Well, honestly, like what? I mean, the only answer that would suit me would be like, to be honest with you, I didn't pay attention. I mean, they wanted change, and they all thought like, oh, we can just vote for somebody who's going to mix things up a little bit, and not really understanding what that meant.
There isn't a red America or a blue America. There is the United States of America.
There's purple. It's all just a
pundits
mishmash.
try to slice and dice us into this side, liberal and conservative, Muslim, non-Muslim.
But what is it?
Americans.
What
And
is
it's all
it?
great.
Like, what was surprising? This guy is a guy who has no empathy for anything. Like, honestly, did his empathy come across?
I think
the
this is the type of person that was like, when Trump said, we're not going to leave anybody out on the streets for health care. There's my guy.
That's
Well,
what they were hearing.
People
That's true.
underestimate the impact of his economic nationalism.
If
right?
people
But-
were,
but
that's
I'm
not
not-
what they're
that's
not
not-
what they're
but that-
talking
but
about.
listen.
Yeah, that's right. That's not what they're
I
talking
mean,
about.
why they liked him in the first place.
No,
but
that's not what
I'm
they're
saying,
responding
if
to. though.
you say, if the first question is like, why have you abandoned Trump? And your answer is, because I don't find him empathetic. He doesn't care about other people. My question is like, wait a second, that's not new. You could say like, oh, I thought he'd be competent. He's not competent. Or I didn't realize just how divisive he would be as president. I thought that was more of like he would do that as a candidate. I mean, but there's the idea that like, I didn't pick up on his lack of empathy during the campaign when he was saying like, beat that guy around.
They
If
heard
a
what they
child
wanted to hear.
in
Well,
Bayside, Queens,
okay.
can't read, that makes my life poor.
That's what it is. It's
Even if it's not
frequency
my
and how
child.
how often you're dipping into it. And these people dip in like once a month to politics.
Right.
And I think you're right. I actually think the biggest line, the biggest pull is Matt. That when he said, it's not only that he said it, he's like, you can't let somebody die on the street. He said it like it was a moral obvious. I think that if you are total, and it's an interesting mix actually, because they have some totally low information independents who clearly weren't following anything and were just like, yeah, he'll mix it up like you're saying. And then they have at least one woman who's like the only Christian conservative in the country who's like, basically, I think if she was being honest, she probably would have said, I voted for a Supreme Court.
Right.
And I'm really uncomfortable watching, like, I can't
I didn't know what the price was gonna be.
totally support. All
Right.
these other people that I'm with
Right.
can completely subordinate their values to this, but I'm actually not comfortable with the adultery, the lying, the crimes.
You
the
could say
sexual
like, I've
assault.
learned something about myself. Like I'm
Yeah.
not willing to make a certain trade.
Yeah, because
But
I think there's a big distinction in this panel, actually. I think there's a big...
I think if you're an independent voter, it's a nice way of saying like, I don't pay too much attention to politics.
Well, I mean, the one woman there, to her credit, it's like on one hand, I want to appreciate her for saying, look, it's totally disgusting. When I look
Can we
at
go
children,
forward into her?
the woman who said, children in cages, I couldn't deal with that. Good for her. And then maybe there's also
Was it this
some
woman?
element. No, not her. It's the woman in the back row. She's not her. That woman with the leopard print, sort of. But like, maybe it's also just the fact that everybody's so used to politicians not keeping their word on anything that they're like, oh yeah, he's going to say this xenophobic stuff and he's going to bullshit. Because even Republicans, when you poll immigration, even a majority of Republican voters still actually support what the Democratic position is.
Well, the problem is it's just like
which is toughen up the border and then have a path to citizenship.
People who hate immigrants with more passion than people who don't hate immigrants.
No, that's a separate. And
Right.
and the ones who do hate and were actually listening were the ones who were right. But I also wonder if part of this dynamic is just some people just being like, it's so baked into the cake that people aren't going to follow through in some ways. That, like, why wouldn't that apply to Trump as well?
Yeah, let's continue a little bit, but
Obama.
I'm not even thinking about that. I'm thinking about what he's done to our country. Our country was supposed to be a country for the people, and by the people, for the people. And I don't see that it's that way anymore. And we're supposed to let people come in like the immigrants. And what really broke my heart was when I saw those children being torn away from their parents.
Is this the America that I grew up in? I don't think so.
No, it isn't.
So character issue, is it fair to say, for all of you, has superseded even the issues that you voted on? Is that what you're saying?
Of course.
Fair enough.
It is.
Absolutely. I'm mortified every day. What happened with Christine Ford, the accusers that accused Donald Trump, the way that they say they're all lying.
They did accuse
Every day
him
I'm
well
speechless.
before
I
the
really
election.
am
Yeah.
speechless.
Yes. That is the part that does get maddening. Yeah.
I'm not saying that they're being in any way consistent, but like if you dipped in before the election, maybe took the messages that you wanted to take and ignored the other stuff because maybe these people don't care that much about racism, or maybe they don't think he's going to follow through on it. And then like some more information makes its way to them eventually, then yeah, they're going to.
I mean, I guess you could have not been aware of a dozen plus women who accused him of sexual assault or inappropriate behavior. I mean, I guess you could have been aware of that. I don't know how CNN finds you now.
I've said this before, though. I don't think it's actually has anything to do with the new information coming in. I think it's changes in their social environment make it less sustainable to defend that guy.
Right.
And then so it's like, yeah, it's his tweets, or yeah, about the women, when really that was there all along, but now you just need to make use of it in an ad hoc kind
It's
of
like
way.
the guy who
They were
discovered
ignoring
that
it
he's
before.
racist when he's like, well, what made you all of a sudden think he's racist? He said LeBron's stupid. I mean, there's this, you just cross a
Don't go after
certain
King
line.
James,
You
man.
go after King James.
They were able to ignore it before for either the reasons that Matt said or because it just hadn't been driven home to them like that because he hadn't gone after someone that they cared about yet.
Yeah. But note, this is not, at least with those independent voters, nothing ideological.
No, it was all, there was some Russia stuff in that. There was some Russia. There was definitely Kavanaugh, and then there was also just generally he's an unstable, insane dick.
There's a bit of maybe not an
And
awakening.
I'm afraid of him being a dictator, actually.
The
Yeah.
thing about this isn't the country we knew, or this was supposed to be a country for the people. Well, it's like, welcome aboard to
right.
the system.
If
and
you
critiques of
follow
those
the
things.
logic of that and you start listening to these shows,
like finding
reading
out-
a little Matt Taibbi or something.
It's like
and-
finding
yeah.
out that the entire, the entire country is basically like the Howard Stern show. Like that.
Except it's not ironic.
Right, except for it's not ironic. Well, that's the thing about Howard Stern is like it.
Anybody could enjoy it. That is
Maybe it
the
was.
similarity with Trump and Stern. It's anybody could tune in. You could be taking it at face value or doing a deep read. Either way, it's funny.